I know I like to look at a lot of crazy stories in NASCAR, controversies, scary accidents, tragedies, and things like that, but this week we're going to take a step back into something a little more tame. So sit back and relax as we dive into NASCAR's most boring race ever. Right before we get into it, make sure you guys leave a like and also make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video. Anyway, let's get right into it. Now, when you think of New Hampshire races, they're not always the most exciting. A lot of them are pretty forgettable. The races recently haven't been too bad. Although some attributes of the track can be comparable to others, the flat 1 mile oval is pretty unique. And it's hosted a lot of NASCAR races, hosting the Cup Series since 1993. But one race sticks out from the others, and that is the 2000 Dura Lube 300. This is the race that Jeff Burton led every single lap. So let's get into the race. The big storyline coming into the race was the use of restrictor plates. This was because of the well-documented passings of both Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin Jr. at the track. Bobby Labonte had also suffered a stuck throttle at Darlington just a few weeks before the race. NASCAR had to do something, so they chose restrictor plates to slow the cars down. And they may have had a bit more motivation to do something, as there were some rumors of star drivers boycotting the race if changes weren't made. So remember, back in 2000, the use of the Hans device was not mandated. The device would not be mandatory until October of 2001, after the passing of Blaze Alexander. Additionally, safer barriers were not adopted yet. Although the safe wall technology was pretty much ready to use, there was a lot of skepticism within NASCAR if the technology would actually help. Safer barriers would not be implemented until 2002, and they were finally added to New Hampshire in 2003. So what could NASCAR do? Just slow the cars down. This would be the first time a track smaller than 2.5 miles used restrictor plates. And this decision was a little hectic. The announcement for the plates came just a week before the race, leaving teams scrambling to make changes to their car. So I want to read a few sentences from a JSki article written at the time that sums up the week leading up to the race. NASCAR is expected to announce today that Winston Cup cars will use restrictor plates when they race next weekend at New Hampshire. Several drivers said NASCAR officials told them that various soft wall barriers were tested at the New Hampshire track this week, but the results were unsatisfactory. As news of the change spread Friday morning, teams began scrambling to get ready for restrictor plates at a track they've never used them before. None of the teams will be allowed to test. Testing is banned at a track for the 7 days preceding a race there. So yeah, pretty chaotic stuff. The pole speed for the Fall 2000 race with the plates averaged 127 miles per hour. The previous race, the pole speed averaged 132. All in all, the top speeds at the track were down about 10 miles per hour. So now let's get into the actual race. It was actually Bobby Labonte that led the field to green, with Jeff Burton making a crucial move to the lead in the first turn. Then he would never look back. The race ran green for about a third of the distance, nearly 100 laps before the first caution came out for Scott Pruitt. And yeah, the cars couldn't pass at all. The drivers could not generate big enough runs to make a pass into the corners. There wasn't enough top speed, and the cars were just as fast as they usually were in the corners. I'd almost compare it to a modern-day short track race. Then nothing happens until lap 199, when we are 2/3 of the way into the race. And yet nothing has happened. The big storyline is John Andretti, who climbed up from a 31st starting position to a top 10. But on lap 199, we get a debris caution. I mean, yeah, there was something on the track, but it may or may not have warranted a yellow. Then Dale Earnhardt did this, cause he can, I guess. Labonte narrowly missed out on the chance to take over the lead during pit stops, but Jeff barely prevailed. And dare I say this yellow saved the race. There was nothing really to save in the first place, but the yellow came out in the middle of green flag pit stops. This shuffled the field up a lot, got a lot of fast cars stuck a lap down, which made the race more interesting. Shortly after the restart, there was this wreck in turn 2. Now the restarts were exciting. There was some bumping and banging, but this was because drivers knew it was really the only opportunity to gain places. Bill Elliott had issues on lap 246 after he came across Dale Jr.'s nose. And on the restart, Jeff Burton was passed for the first time all day. But that was by Dale Earnhardt, who was unlapping himself. Of course, back in 2000, the lapped cars restarted alongside the lead lap cars. Dale Earnhardt made the race exciting as he made contact with Burton 3 times trying to unlap himself. But maybe this could be an opportunity for Bobby Labonte to get by. Labonte looked to challenge him and actually got beside him, almost making the move, but Jeff powered by on the outside. Then Jeff would pull away. Chad Little and Steve Park tangled with just 23 to go, meaning Jeff would have to sweat out another restart with Labonte right behind him. Burton was definitely the fastest car on the long run, but Bobby had something for him on the short run. On the restart with just 14 to go, Jeff pulled out quite the lead before another wreck happened behind the leaders. Dale Jr., Ward Burton, Jerry Nadeau, and more were involved. NASCAR actually brought out the red flag after the wreck, so they could clean up the mess and give the drivers a chance to finish the race under green. Now, this is what would be the final restart, just 7 to go. And since the restart was within 10 laps to go, there were no lapped cars on the inside. This was Labonte's chance to ruin Burton's perfect race. And he got to his bumper. He was all over Jeff for about 2 laps until Ricky Rudd in third made the move on Labonte, spoiling his chances of a win. Then with just 3 to go, Sterling Marlin brought out the final yellow of the day to end the race. Before we get into the reactions following the race, I just want to highlight how impressive this win was. Even though it was hard to pass, Jeff still had to hold off drivers on the restarts and will the car. Also, he made a move into the lead on the first lap. He didn't even start on pole. Even through pit cycles, yellows, differing strategies, he still led every single lap. Now, how hard is it to lead every lap of a cup race? Well, it's only happened once in the last 46 years. Just this race, despite how hard Martin Truex Jr. wanted to snap that streak. And just to go to show how hard it was to pass, 4 of the top 5 starters finished in the top 5. Behind them, it got a little mixed up because of all of the yellows at the end and the yellow at lap 199 in the middle of pit stops. And what did the drivers think?
It's hard to pass on.
Well, they weren't as upset as you would think about the racing. Dale Jarrett said it was a safe race, and that's the main thing. Most of the drivers, fans, and NASCAR were just happy to walk away from the weekend without tragedy being the main topic of discussion. Sure, the racing was horrible, but everyone was holding their breath. Many in the industry, including Robert Yates, were clamoring for the soft walls so that the racing wouldn't suffer. If there were soft walls, maybe they could take off their restrictor plates. But safety was really the only thing that mattered that weekend. But 24 years later, looking back, we can safely say it was just a horrible race. The drivers really couldn't pass at all. It was follow the leader almost the entire time. There was no real drama, no passes for the lead, just a complete nothing burger. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you did enjoy the video. I know it was more relaxed and not as crazy as some of the other videos, so let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like if you did enjoy, and subscribe if you haven't already. That's it from me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.